Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's Thursday, June 2nd, 2022 docket. My name is Nicholas Blendy. I'm the board's Deputy Executive Secretary, and I'm going to call the first case. The first case on today's docket is a violation case. Whitehog LLC, trading as Playbook. Premises are located at 6700 German Hill Road. Licensee is charged with one violation of the board's rules, violation of Rule 4.08, relations with wholesalers, stemming from an incident on January 19th, 2022. For the record, Chairman Matriciani is recused on this case. Commissioner Greenfield will be chairing the hearing, and I believe licensee appears to be represented by Mr. Previs, and we have with us, welcome, an Alcohol and Tobacco Commission agent Mangold. Commissioner Greenfield.
All those who intend to testify, please come up, and let's get everyone sworn in.
Just need you all to raise your right arm. Do you solemnly swear to affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Acting Chairman, a member of the board, Peter Previs, on behalf of the licensees. With me today is Mr. Carlos Bulnes. He is one of the members of the LLC that owns the business. He is not one of the three licensees, but he was in fact there on the date of the incident.
Okay, will this be an admission or denial?
Mr. Commissioner, we will stipulate to the facts, but I'm going to argue the law that this case should be dismissed.
Okay. In that case, why don't we then proceed with testimony and proceed with the case so we get it all on record.
Sure. Thank
you. Chief Inspector, how would you like to proceed? Would it be you or Agent Mangold?
Agent Mangold, it was her case, and then we have an inspection report that's in your file as evidence from Inspector Robbins.
Great. Agent, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Agent Mangold. I'm with the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. On January 19th, 2022, at approximately 12:30 hours, agents from the Alcohol Tobacco Commission, Comptroller in Maryland, did an inspection at the Playbook, which is located at 6700 German Hill Road, Baltimore, Maryland, 21222. We did it because we had received some information that possibly they could be purchasing alcohol from other than a wholesaler. I identified myself when I went in as an agent with the Alcohol Tobacco Commission. There was a female behind the counter. She didn't seem to really understand what was going on, so she made a phone call, and I wound up speaking to Mr. Maldonado. A short time later, he was on the phone, and then he said he'd be there in about 15 minutes. He was there, and then another gentleman arrived just before him. I was asking for the receipts, invoices for the alcohol that was being displayed on the shelves. There was alcohol down in the basement, and there was a locked door. So a short time later, Mr. Maldonado got there, and then we proceeded. I asked him for all the invoices. They were pulling invoices. I took invoices back to 2018. I didn't go with Julian dates. I just said, if you have it, show it to me, and proceeded to then remove alcohol that we had invoices for. We also went downstairs, and I had him open I had the owner open a locked door in the manager's office, and inside there I found there was some alcohol on the side, but there was also some receipts sitting right on top of the desk from King's Liquor, and it was for various amounts of alcohol. It was in my report. I don't know if you guys have copies of it. I asked him about the liquor.
Who did you ask? What was the name?
Mr. Maldonado.
Okay.
I apologize, Mr. Maldonado. I asked him about the liquor, and he said that, yeah, with COVID and everything that's going on, that when he has the money, sometimes he'll get his alcohol from there. It's just the situation he said he was in at the time. So we proceeded to go through all of the alcohol. Anything that had an invoice, we left. When we were finished, we had a total of 689 bottles that did not have, or 689 items that did not have receipts, to include wine and spirits and to include beer. Let's see, I just want to make sure I have so there were 78 bottles of wine and spirits unaccounted for, and 611 bottles of beer that were unaccounted for. Those items were seized. He was given Mr. Maldonado was given a confiscation. The licensee on the liquor license was William, I don't want to ruin the name here, Matriciano.
It's close enough.
I thought I'd give it a try. And those would be the facts of the case.
Great, thank you.
Can
Mr. Rivas?
I ask one point of clarity?
Yes,
The
please.
agent is King's Liquors, a wholesale establishment or a retail establishment?
No, I'm sorry, it's a retail establishment. It's located on Pulaski Highway.
Thank you.
Mr. Previs, any questions?
Just two quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this who you're identifying as Mr. Maldonado?
It looks like Mr.
Okay.
Maldonado.
Just for the record, that Mr. Bolness is, what's your full name? Bolness Maldonado? He goes by Bolness, but he's got a
I see.
Hispanic.
Okay, so the gentleman to your right
Yes.
is the individual who you went down to the basement with, and you, and.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear. Thank you.
And that the alcohol that was confiscated was not returned?
Correct.
And the approximate value of those cases of beer and 78 bottles of spirits? if you-
Was,
Popular guy.
$3,176.17.
Okay, and no claim has been made for the return of those items? Is that right?
Correct.
And he was cooperative?
Oh, yes, he was very cooperative, very decent, just said he was strapped for cash, and that's just how it came about.
Okay.
If you know, are there scenarios where it is cheaper to buy alcohol at a retail liquor store than it is to buy from the wholesaler?
I believe if you're buying very small amounts at a time, it can actually be probably about the same, if not, it could be a little cheaper, depending on if you have a liquor store that is a big liquor store, which I believe King's is. If it's a big liquor store, they buy larger quantities, so they get it cheaper than, say, a smaller establishment would get it.
So if King's Liquors is running a sale item, it's actually, you could actually buy one bottle of spirits cheaper at King's Liquors than to buy one bottle from the wholesaler?
I say that that's possible. I
Right.
did not go down and match bottle for bottle. I'm just saying that that's possible based on my understanding of talking with people that supply the liquor, because they ask how much do you want, and I know with bigger cases, bigger amounts, you get a better price per bottle. That's
Thank
what
you.
I'm basing it on.
Thank you. I have
Thank
no
you.
further questions.
Commissioner Reisinger, you have any questions?
Yes, is King Liquor, is that the only liquor store that you got receipts? Was there any other liquor stores?
No, that was a liquor store, King's
Okay.
Liquor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Inspector Robinson?
I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Chief Inspector? Mr. Previs?
Thank you. Mr. Commissioner, as I indicated, Mr. Bolness and the licensees stipulate to the fact that they did in fact purchase alcoholic beverages from King's Liquors, a retail license establishment in Baltimore County. And Mr. Bolness would confirm what Agent Mangold said, that he met her, he was cooperative with her, he showed her the receipts, and he did in fact admit to her that he bought retail in light of the financial hard times with COVID, or coming off of COVID, that was the impetus for doing that. I believe it's also a matter of convenience sometimes for some licensees. In any event, I don't, unless you have any questions for Mr. Bolmus, I would like to make argument.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Bolmus, does the establishment have any accounts with any wholesalers?
Yes, we do.
You do? And, okay, so this was just a matter of convenience and a matter of, as Mr. Previous indicated, COVID, and this was just, that was the issue, right?
Yes, for the COVID, I don't know, all the company, they're responsible for the COVID, right? But they don't send, sometimes they don't send the deliveries on time. You make the order, they didn't send it because they were saying that they don't have people to workers, everything. And in our occasion, we gotta buy something, we gotta find, figure out, because we got bills to pay, we got people to pay, end of the night or end of the week, and everything. And that's why, sometimes we gotta go somewhere else to get the beers or liquor.
How long have you been with the establishment?
11 years.
11 years, okay. All right, so I'm ready to, well, I'll let you make your argument, and we can then make a determination.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
First, the only charge that I believe was lodged by the board was a violation of Liquor Board Rule 4.08, as opposed to the statute. So 4.08A states, a licensee may not purchase alcoholic beverages except from a licensed manufacturer or wholesaler. A licensee may not sell to another licensee alcoholic beverages. A licensee may not keep or permit to be kept upon the licensed premises any alcoholic beverages unless purchased in accordance with this section. So there's a B and a C that I don't think are applicable to the facts of this case. So 4.08A states without exception that a licensee may not purchase alcoholic beverages except from a licensed manufacturer or wholesaler, and the facts of this case are that King's Liquors is a retailer. The statutes that may come into play are alcoholic beverage article 6311, which I have copies here.
That'd be great.
Oops.
Yeah, it's that, or the book.
Thank you.
And the restriction in the law states that this section does not apply to a holder of a E, F, or G licenses. Those are your planes, trains, and boats, not planes, trains, and automobiles. But what I'm focusing in on is B. A retail dealer may not purchase any alcoholic beverage except from a licensed manufacturer or wholesaler, private bulk sale permit holder, or non-resident winery permit holder. Sell any alcoholic beverage to any other retail dealer except the holder of a Class C per diem beer, and wine, or liquor license. And then 3 is really not applicable. And then we also have, I want to direct your attention to 2-503, which is the statewide caterer's license. Otherwise known as the SCAT license. And under the SCAT license, A1, a general statewide or limited statewide caterer's license authorizes the holder to, 1, or I, acquire alcoholic beverages, 1, if the holder operates under a retail license that may be annually renewed through a holder of a wholesaler's license, Or two, this is the important part, except as provided in 25-307, 29-306, 32-306, 32-309E, and 33-305, which would be other counties, through a licensed retail dealer that has off-sale privileges. So here we have exceptions. My first argument is that 4.08A is overbroad because it doesn't say as except as provided by statute or this rule, or as accepting SCAT licensees and Class C per diem licenses that you can't purchase from another retailer. The rule is broad-based. So an analogy would be if there was a statute that made performing an abortion illegal, except in the case of rape or incest, and the liquor board rule says that abortion is illegal under all circumstances, then that rule would be overly broad. So admittedly, the playbook is not a SCAT licensee, it is not a Class C per diem, but in any event, the rule is overbroad, and unless and until it would be amended to provide for those exceptions, it should be deemed as overbroad and unenforceable. The second argument, analogous, is we recently learned from the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, in Tennessee Wine and Spirits Retailers Association versus Thomas, 139 Supreme Court 2449 2019. That case is, I'm arguing equal protection. That case was actually a dormant commerce clause argument, but what the court stated is applicable under equal protection. It states that where a statute is created strictly for economic protectionism, and in that case, licensees and stockholders had to be residents of the state of Tennessee, and out-of-state persons were not allowed to be licensees under that state licensing scheme, and the Supreme Court held that violated the Dormant Commerce Clause because it was a statute that was purely economic protectionism to favor Tennessee residents over residents of other states. So we have the concept of purely economic protectionism is applicable to equal protection. So here we have, under our Maryland three-tiered system, you have the original law that says a manufacturer can only sell to a wholesaler, and a wholesaler can only sell to a retailer, and a retailer can only sell to a consumer. And now we've carved out exceptions for a SCAT license and a Class C per diem license. That is irrational. It's economic protectionism. The agent quite candidly admitted that there are occasions where it is cheaper to buy one bottle from the liquor store than it is from the wholesaler. These laws are designed to help the wholesalers, and I request that the board dismiss this case based on Liquor Board Rule 4.08 as supporting a scheme that supports economic protectionism and therefore violates equal protection under the U.S. Constitution and the Maryland Declaration of Rights.
Mr. Previs, I always enjoy your legal arguments. I do. It's great food for thought. No, not at all. But I'm going to reject the arguments. I don't think 4.08, with which your client is charged under, is overbroad and unenforceable. I think it's quite clear what it says, and I don't see this system as economic protectionism, and so I'm just going to reject both arguments. But again, I very much appreciate you walking us through the U.S. Supreme Court case as well as the Maryland statutes. And with that, I'm ready to rule on a sanction. And based upon your admission, based upon the testimony before us, I find the licensee in violation of Rule 4.08, relations with wholesalers, on January 19th, 2022. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
you-
by rules of order, I also reject your motion, for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. This record is candidly one of the worst I've seen in my time on the Liquor Board. And it is incredibly troubling that it seems that this licensee's consistently in trouble, and it's almost as if no sanction that we levy resonates whatsoever. And so with that, I'm prepared to fine at the maximum of $3,000 and suspend for 30 days. I will allow for a reconsideration in 2 weeks to come back before this docket. We will post it, but that will only be triggered by a letter of reconsideration from you or from the licensee with a plan to come back before us, as I said, if the licensee so chooses. If the licensee doesn't choose, then you'll be suspended for 30 days. But you can come back in 2 weeks with an operational plan that is reviewed, not just by this board, but by the chief inspector. And that's my decision.
And that would be effective, the suspension would be effective immediately,
Effective immediately, yes.
but upon reconsideration, possibly
Yes.
reconsideration. the-
Yeah, yeah.
the
Any
balance.
questions you have, I'm happy to answer. But yes, that's exactly right. So it would be effective immediately, have the opportunity to come back in 2 weeks with a letter of reconsideration that we will entertain. And I understand that we would have to post for 2 weeks today. So we will go ahead and post it in the event that you do file that letter of reconsideration.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yeah. Before I vote, I just want to ask a couple questions before the vote. Counsel, does your client, when he purchased that large amount of liquor, did he have a relationship to where he would call King's or meet with them and King's would order for him? And then did they deliver or pick up the?
It's my understanding, you were just going in as a person off the street, is that right, Mr. Volness? You didn't have any special relation with King's?
No.
They didn't know who you were?
No.
Okay, and the thing is that what kind of relationship, do you have a good standing with the wholesalers like Churchill and Bond? Do you have an account with them to where you could have purchased through them?
Yeah, he has accounts.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I agree with the chair's findings of violation of Rule 4.08, relations with wholesalers, and also the fine of $3,000. And I also agree with the chair's findings to suspend the license for a 30-day suspension.
Mr. Commissioner Reisinger, do you wish for the suspension to commence immediately? Like as Commissioner Greenfield said?
Yes, I agree with that too. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. And then lastly, you didn't speak to, but are you comfortable with the chairman's decision that if a reconsideration is fine?
Yes, I support the chair's findings on that.
Okay. Then, and as you stated, just for the record, you rejected the constitutional argument as Chairman
Yes.
Greenfield did. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell, you want to read?
I close it for the record. Order Exhibit 1, Violation Report, Inspector Robinson. 2, MD State Controller's Report. 3, MD Code Alcoholic Beverage 6 through 311. 4, MD Code Alcoholic Beverage 2 through 503.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee has received information related to the penalties and the suspension that was imposed by the board today. Inspection Division will go and collect the BD7 liquor license and impose the immediate suspension today for 30 days. Actually, we need a minute of recess to go get.
Well, I'll just go grab them.
Okay.
You can call the next case.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Then item number 2 on today's docket is a violations case. Mr. Joe's Bar and Cut Rate. Sorry, Jaya Inc., trading as Mr. Joe's Bar and Cut Rate, 1 to 3 South Highland Avenue. Licensee holds a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with violations of the board's rules, all stemming from an incident on January the 6th, 2022, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, and a violation of Rule 4.10, false statements. Chairman Commissioner Matriciani is here and is chairing the hearing.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the licensee.
Good morning, Mr. Kaninsky. These be admissions or denials?
There'll be denials on requests for sequestering the witnesses, please.
Okay. Who's going to be testifying?
We have Chief Inspector Chris Amalis, we have 2 cadets, and Inspector Robinson.
Who's going to testify first?
Who's gonna testify first?
Yes.
I can testify first.
Okay, well, let's ask the others to step outside while he's testifying.
Inspector Robinson and the police cadets, please follow Executive Secretary.
Swear everybody in first.
Mr. Chair,
Well, actually, did you want to swear all witnesses?
the cadets are a precursor to everything that happens when Chief Inspector Chris Amalis, so I think they should testify first.
All right, well, let's swear everybody in, and then we'll do that. Okay. All those that are going to testify, please raise your right hands.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, and where's the cadet going to testify from?
They can testify from over here.
He said, why they don't testify? Because they have their pictures on the videos. I mean,
It's the police
police said that?
protocol, I believe.
Our police.
The only ones I know of.
Cadets, if you can come over here. Yeah, you can come.
That way. John, that way, that way.
Please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. Joel Carrington.
Could he spell his name into the record for me, please?
JoeWellCarrington.
Thank you.
All right. Cadet, can you tell us what happened on January 6th, 2022?
Yes, sir. So me and my other cadet, we arrived at the establishment at approximately 10:11 p.m. and we walked in with a $20 bill, asked for 2 fireballs. The guy that we spoke to gave us the fireballs, gave us the change. After that, took the fireballs outside to Detective Crystal Malice, and he went inside and spoke to the man.
Okay. Did you have anything further to do after that, or was that it?
That was our only assignment, sir.
Okay. Mr. Kadensky?
Right. So when when it was you and another cadet went in, the 2 of you,
Yes, sir.
and where did you get the $20 bill?
Where?
Yeah.
From the detective,
Which one?
Crystal Malice.
Detective Chris Amalis?
Yes, sir.
He's a chief inspector.
Yes,
You got
sir.
it from him, from the liquor board?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you use that $20 bill anywhere else?
No, sir.
It's the only place you went in and got served?
Yes, sir. So we used that $20 bill the whole entire night.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes, and
All right.
it was the same serial code. We checked after every time.
Was it a real $20 bill?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm reading the police report. It says it was a photocopy $20 bill.
So we took a picture of the serial number, and we used that $20 bill for wherever we went.
The photocopy or the real one?
The real one, I believe.
Well, you don't know for sure, though. I'm reading from the police report. It says the cadets were given a photocopy $20 bill, which was provided by City Hall, which I think is unusual, but I know they're sitting on a lot of money down here.
Yes, sir. So they gave us a $20 bill, and they told us it was real.
You say they, meaning,
Detective Crystal Malice told us, yes, to use
Okay.
that 20.
and then after you left, you had the fireball in your hand or in a bag? What did you have?
Just my
How far did you go to see the Inspector Chris Amalis or anybody else?
how far, just, we walked right, not even a block, but probably across the street to the car.
That's what I want to know. So you walked probably across the street to the car?
Yes, sir.
Who was in the car?
Detective Crystal Malice.
Some other people. I'm not going to ask you specifically. They were in there, and you went over and said, made the purchase, here's the,
Here's the change and the liquor.
and then you had a receipt. Is that correct?
No, sir.
They didn't give you a receipt?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever go back in the store?
No.
So when they saw you across the street in a car, wherever they were, they got out of the car and then they went into Mr. Joe's.
Yes.
You stayed at the car,
Yes.
okay? And after that, you had no further contact with the licensee or the employee, correct?
No. Correct.
Would you remember the employee who served you?
Yes, sir. It was your client.
This big guy behind me, his ID expired? Yes, okay. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you, Cadet.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any reason to hear from the other cadet?
If this can be cumulative, I know.
I assume it's going to be the same. Where's Chief Inspector Chris Mullins? Well, Cadet, could you come back one more time?
I hope you're not going to ask that question.
I am absolutely going to ask that question. I wasn't born yesterday, Mr. Mullins.
Oh, my mother told me it'd be days like this.
Cadet, how old were you on January 6, 2022?
19.
Thank you. Ross?
No.
Okay, you've been sworn in, correct? What can you tell us about January 6, 2022 at Mr. Joe's?
We went to the location. Cadet came out carrying his fireballs. As soon as we walked in, there was a Hispanic male standing at the counter. That time, that male finished his purchase. We identified ourselves. The gentleman recognized us, actually. He said, "What did I do now?" We went in. We told him that he sold to an undercover cadet. We returned the alcohol and his change and asked for the $20 bill that was marked and photographed prior to the operation so we can recover the 20. At that time, he opened the register, pulled out the 20s. He started looking for it from the back, which was a little odd to me. I said it would be the first 20 on top. He went through all the 20s. He lifted the register. He went through all the currency in the register. We could not recover the 20. I asked, he did pull up on his POS system. I asked him what did the Hispanic male pay with, and it showed a $10 bill is what the purchase, that he used a $10 bill to make the purchase. I asked him to pull out his last 3 transactions. It was a $10 bill, a $20 bill, and a $5 bill. So in no way could he had given out the change to the Hispanic male or to the person. If he's saying there was 2 people before the cadet, very well could have been. I just didn't see 2 people. I only saw 1 Hispanic male buying when we walked in. The gentleman did say he didn't think anybody paid with a 50, but he was very nervous and upset, and he couldn't remember. At which time he called. I noticed a camera right above the register, so I said, "Well, is the owner here? Maybe you made a mistake and you handed the $20 bill out wrong." The owner came within 30 minutes of us calling him. When he came, he took us in the office so we can review the cameras, at which time we were told that the cameras don't record, that you can only watch the cameras live. At that time, we were not able to recover the $20 bill. We did return the product and the change for the 20, and we left the establishment. Then I got a phone call about an hour later. I guess they either called the post office or called 911. Officer Bowman from the Southeast District called me and said that they had produced a receipt showing that the purchase prior to my cadet was a $50 bill. That was never provided to us. We had given ample time for them to go through their register system. I reviewed the register when he pulled up the last 3 transactions, and nowhere in those transactions was there a 50. Not saying there wasn't, but we were never given that information.
Anything else?
That's all, sir.
Ross?
Where did the $20 bill come from?
The $20 bill came from the Baltimore City Vice Unit that they use for operations.
Not from City Hall.
I don't know where they got it
But
from.
you didn't give it to them.
No. Sergeant Leisher provides the $20
Now,
bill.
I'm reading from the report, police report, says that cadets were given a photocopied $20 bill.
We photocopied the $20 bill.
But did you give them, they said they got a photocopied bill, which wouldn't have been legal, correct
No,
or not?
No, that's incorrect.
Where's the copy of the one you photocopied?
The copy of the 20? I don't have that with me.
But you generally copy them.
I usually don't. The Vice Unit would, but I usually don't copy it. But they do have a copy. That's how we identify the serial number. But we don't give the cadet the copy of the 20.
No, but I'm just reading what it said here, that they were given a photocopy $20 bill, which was provided by City Hall. So I'm just find that curious for that to be in the report. That's how it came from City Hall and why it was a photocopy.
Do you want to proffer the relevance? I mean, I'm assuming that
If it was
your
a photocopy,
bartender
it wouldn't
did
have
not
been valid.
accept.
It wouldn't have been a valid $20 bill. You
Well,
can't use
Does
it.
your bartender accept photocopies of dollar bills?
They don't have the $20 bill,
Uh,
you know?
Sir, alcohol was still furnished to a 19-year-old that came outside of the establishment.
When when they went into the purchase, was 2 of them, correct?
They went in, however.
No, was it two of them went in or just one?
We usually send 2 in,
All right.
if there's 2.
So it's 2 in, 2 out. They came back out together.
Correct.
And they indicated that you were sitting across the street in a car.
We were same side of the street, further down, correct.
Yeah. And then they came over to the car and gave you the fireball?
They give us the product and the change.
Okay. And, but no receipt, because I asked him if he had a receipt. They said he didn't get a receipt.
None of the places usually never has a cadet giving me a receipt.
So they don't get receipts when they go, and you don't think that's pertinent?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because if I send them in without alcohol and they come out with alcohol.
So when you came in, and it was only the gentleman, this one here, one that's ID expired, he went through, when you asked him for the 20, told him what happened, he opened the drawer, went through all the cash in the drawer. How much cash was in the drawer?
A lot. I didn't count.
No, but he went through it all, and you were standing there when he went through it.
That's correct.
Is there any way he would know what it was, a marked $20 bill? Do you have anything marked on the bill?
No, we just know the serial number.
So it would be the same as any other 20 would be in there?
That's correct.
All right, so he went all through there and didn't find the $20 bill. He was cooperative when you asked for him, correct?
He was.
Yeah. And he said, I don't have that 20 in the file, because you were looking at the 20s he was pulling out.
Correct.
All right. And after that, you had left. He indicated to you that he had made a couple sales, at least
Correct.
a sale.
There was one sale for sure.
All right.
He was
And
waiting on that gentleman when we walked
came in. But you don't know if somebody came in before him.
There could have been, but we were in there within 15 to 20 seconds.
Now, the cadet said it was like 2 minutes later when you went in there.
No. So the cadet comes to the vehicle. It's a team of 6 that do this operation, or a team of 4. The cadet will come back to the vehicle, give the product and the change to one team. The other team is already inside the establishment.
All right. Who was the team was inside the establishment?
I was inside the establishment with Detective Gatto.
But you only went after they came to the car?
They
After the
went-
cadets?
Correct.
Because then they showed you what they had, you took it and went back in.
Correct. Well, they'll send us a text and say we got it. So one team goes into the establishment, the other team waits for the cadets to put them back in the car to secure the cadets and take the product and the money.
So be consistent with this 20. The 20, did you ever take a 20 back?
No,
So you gave them the change and never got the 20 back?
that's correct.
So you got the change and
The product.
the product. And so it would have cost you, what, $2 and something cents?
Whatever was in the report, sir. I don't remember the exact amount of the purchase.
It says $2.89, according to the 2 fireballs.
Okay.
So you got back the other money, they got their fireball, and you were short $2 and $3.10. That's what the grand total was, correct? With tax?
Whatever the receipt says for 2 fireballs, I don't know what the question is.
Well, the question is that you were short $3.10, and he said you were using that 20 all night.
Right, we didn't, we gave the change back, we gave the, whatever it was, $16 and change back, plus we didn't recover 20.
So when you went to another stop, did you use another 20?
That was our last stop,
Okay.
because then we couldn't continue the operation. We only have one photocopied 20.
You have the photocopy 20, not the photocopy wasn't given to the cadet.
No.
Okay, wonderful question.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to present testimony?
Yes. Mhm.
Let's do it. Thank you, Chief.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Craig Miller. My address is 423 South Conklin Street.
You were on duty that day, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
And you heard the testimony about somebody came in and bought minors, bought 2 Fireball, correct?
Yes, they did.
And that, you admit that happened?
Yes, I did.
Right.
I'm not denying that at all.
All right, and then after that, sometime after that, they came in and said to you, you served the minor.
Yes, I did.
At that time, did you make any sales after the cadets left and before they came in?
Yes, I did. Standing behind the cadets was a Spanish gentleman. He bought a $2 beer and he paid with a $50 bill. And I gave him his, the change properly from it, the $48. And as soon as he left, then that's when the detective came in.
All right, I'm going to show you receipts here, and they're dated. The date of the receipt for the Fireball is 10/06, correct?
Yeah, yes, it is.
The next receipt you have, which was the sale that you made, is dated 10/57, less than a minute,
Yes.
correct? That's the one that had submitted $50.
Yes.
Then one after that is at 11:01,
Yes,
which
it
is a
is.
few minutes after that, correct?
And that's when
That's
the
when they came in?
detective, the detective came in.
And then you have one later on at 11:03.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the copies of the receipts?
Yes, they are.
Thank you. They'll be received. I mean, I don't want to hurry you, Mr. Kudinski, but obviously the contention is that whoever took the change from the 50 walked away with the Mark 20, right?
That would be it. And then-
Even I picked up on that. So,
You sabotaged me with the
I understand.
age there.
So, okay. Anything else?
No, the argument is that serving the minor, he agreed to.
Yes.
Cooperation, there's no doubt that he didn't cooperate. What happened to the 20, there was 20s that wasn't there, and it wasn't that it was a false statement in this case. So
I hear you. Okay.
I'd ask Dave-
I do have a question, though, from Mr. Miller. So how long have you worked there?
Almost 17, 18 years now.
So we have a record of this establishment with sales to minors over the last 5 or 6 years, from 2017 sale, 2019 sale, 2021 sales, and now 2022 sales. What's the problem?
I'm sorry, just sometimes I'm busy and I'm not paying attention. But I have.
But do you
but
card
I'm just letting
everyone?
No, I'm just letting you know I have improved on that since this situation, and now I card everybody. And then plus, I'll also just state for the record, the few times that I have served have been recently. The whole time I've been there, those are the only real serving cadets that I have had the whole time, out of the whole 18 years. It's probably been 3 or maybe 3 times I've done it.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have one. So when the cadet gave you a $20 bill, you gave change. You gave change for a $20 bill, correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
That was,
That's it. Any questions? Okay. Anything further, Mr. Kudinski?
Nothing further.
All right. All right. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received as well as the evidence submitted, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a sale to minor on January 6, 2022. As for the violation of 3.02 cooperation and 4.10 false statements, I'm willing to credit your defense that that $20 bill may have legitimately disappeared to the next customer. But I'm troubled by the history of sales to minors. says he's now carding, but he could have done that a long time ago. And our fines don't seem to be working very well. The choice is either to shut him down or really fine him. I would recommend to my fellow commissioners a fine this time in the amount of $2,000, and next time, if you're back here, we're going to shut you down. I give you 30 days to pay that. Commissioners?
So I find a violation, well, based upon the materials in the charging document, the testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on January 6, 2022. I too will agree to credit the argument and will dismiss violations of Rule 3.02 and violations of 4.10. I'm inclined to support the chairman's sanction against you, but I got to tell you, I would even consider suspending you. This is atrocious. This is your fourth in a few years, in 4 years, 4.5 years. But will, as the chairman said, should you come back, I suspect there'll be a significant suspension. So with that, I would agree to a fine of $2,000.
Yes. Mr. Chair, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the Chair's findings of violation 4.01A, sales to minors, and discredit the violation of Rule 3.2, cooperation, and violation of Rule 4.10, false statements, and with the fine of $2,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Exhibits for the record.
Please.
Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Robinson. 2, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. 3, letter from Attorney Melvin Kudinski dated 4/5/22. 4, email from Deputy Nicholas Blendy dated 5/19/2022. And 5, receipt copies.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee has received instructions resulting from the penalties imposed and the findings by the board today. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Then item number 3 on today's docket is a violation. A&P Liquors Incorporated, trading as No Rush Liquors. Premises are located at 825 Poplar Grove Street. License is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee is charged with 1 violation of the board's rules from an incident on April 7th, 2022. That is a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Good morning, sir. What is your name?
Yoon Kim.
Mr. Kim, could you raise your right hand, please? And also you.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kim, do you wish to admit or deny that you made this sale on April 7th?
Yes, sir.
You admitted?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened on that day?
Nothing. I'll be careful. Yeah. Next time, yeah, I check every time. Yeah, ID.
You failed to check the cadet's ID. Is that what you said? It's hard to hear with these masks.
No,
That's
I mistake yeah, that day. Yeah. I
Okay.
never.
You made a
don't
mistake.
Make a mistake. Okay.
Okay, so you've had this license since 2007. This is your first violation. Well, there was a 2008 violation, I'm sorry, but that's been a long time. So what is your practice with respect to identification? Do you check IDs on a regular basis?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I didn't check anything. Yeah, but I be careful. Okay, next time. Yeah, I need to check the ID.
Okay. I mean, I'm telling you, you have a pretty good record, so you must be doing something right. But you made the mistake this time, so be
tired.
careful to do it for everybody, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. Where was the agent? She just
Inspector Tudhope?
I just,
Where's she
she's
go?
still here?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you if he was cooperative with you. He was, sir. Okay, thank you very much. And you state your name for the record, please.
Yeah.
Inspector.
Inspector.
I'm sorry.
Who's the agent's name, please?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Inspector Cindy Lee Tudhope, Baltimore City Liquor Board.
Here to spell it.
Yes, thank you.
It's CINDY hyphenated Leigh, and the last name Tudhope, Tudhope.
Okay, Mr. Kim, on the basis of the materials that are contained in the charging documents and the testimony received this morning, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sale to minor on April 7, 2022. In light of your record, I would impose a $500 fine and give you 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
So based on the charging document and the testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A on April 7, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the Chair's findings, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on April 7, 2022, and also the fine of $500.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tudhope. 2, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Have a good day.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee has received instructions on how to follow up with the findings of the board today and the fines imposed. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes, let's do it.
Then item number 4 on today's docket is a violation. DMT Enterprises Incorporated, trading as Garrison Lounge. Premises are located at 3403-05 Clifton Avenue. Licensee holds a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee is charged with the violation of one of the board's rules stemming from an incident on April 7, 2022, a violation of Rule 4.01 little a, sales to minors.
All of you, please raise your right hands.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so can you identify yourself so I can know who you are?
Truesdale.
You're Mr. Truesdale, and you are?
Monica Truesdale.
Monica Truesdale, okay. And Inspector, one more time.
Inspector Tudhope.
Okay. Do you folks wish to admit or deny that there was a sale on April 7th?
We do admit that there was a sale.
Okay. Do you want to explain what happened on that occasion?
I actually wasn't there, but the employee that was there is not present today because we take this very serious, and she's been through, of course, all her alcohol awareness trainings repeatedly, but as a result of this, she's been terminated and wouldn't agree to attend today.
Okay. So the last time that you were here was 4 years ago for a sale. So has she been their bartender all that time? Go ahead.
I was there that night. Yeah, she was. Actually, we had her behavior. We found that she had a problem with drugs or whatever, and we let her go. Then, she pleaded, her family pleaded, she got herself together. We brought her back. She's a good worker. She's been with us for about 8 years. And then the same thing started occurring. I mean, we saw it, and then this occurred.
And we had to let her go.
And even the officer, I don't know who this is, but the officer that came in that night, they said, she just was, even when they approached her, she just was, nonchalant, she was just out of it, But we got rid of her.
And
I tried to reach her, to bring her today, but she wouldn't respond.
It's okay. Have you hired someone else?
I thought maybe she'd have got an individual one because they had her identification, her name, her address, and all this stuff. I thought she would have got an individual summons, but, I tried to get her here.
Well, because she is not the licensee.
I understand that, too.
Okay. But have you hired someone?
We have.
Yes,
And
we
is
have.
that person now tip certified?
Well, we waiting on,
Mr. Murray.
Right.
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Murray.
waiting on what?
We waiting on certification from Mr. Murray.
So everyone else there is hired, but this newest hire that will replace her has not been certified yet, but everyone's scheduled to get certified. We're just waiting for scheduling with Mr. Murray, John Murray.
Okay. And what was your experience, Inspector?
She was very cooperative. She gave us all the information we needed, gave us back the 20.
Okay. And you haven't had any other problems with this establishment?
I have not, no.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Truesdale, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging document and your testimony, including your admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on April 7, 2022. So, as I said, it's been 4 years, and you do have an explanation for the problem. And I credit you for trying to help this person. But, so I'd impose a $650 fine and give you 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Okay.
Based upon the charging document, the admission, testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A on April 7, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $650 fine.
That's a question.
Yes,
Just let the Commissioner speak.
yes. Based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, and the fine of $650.
Yes, what did you want to say, ma'am?
So we've been in business a long time, and you see, we have a really good record. Well, we have a good record, but is there any documentation that shows when the cadets come in and show that we are doing IDing? Is
I
there a
actually
way to
believe you,
celebrate that?
you normally get a letter when they come in and you decline the service. And you can keep those and bring those if you're, I hope you're not back here in front of
Never
us.
got a letter like
Yeah, we never
the last time. Times certain officers that come in and pull your license down, they just checking. I've had 3 occasions where the African American, he's not here. He was here the last time years ago with us, and he would say, he actually told us
Yeah, he would just verbally
numerous
tell us.
times about the fact that we actually ID'd, but we never get no letter.
Well,
You know,
we'll have to check to make sure, because if you're getting inspected and you're passing the inspections, you should be getting a commendation from the board. And as I said, this is 2 times in 4 years, so you don't have a perfect record, but you know, I've seen worse. So just, you know, get this new person certified and keep your eye on the ball, and hopefully we won't see you anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes this matter before the board. Licensees have received correspondence related to the findings of today's hearing and how to pay the penalties imposed. Shall we move to the next matter, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Wait, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself.
Michael Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore State Police Department report, Detective LeBron.
And that
Yes,
officially
now-
concludes
now
this
we'll
hearing.
take the next one.
Okay. Then the next matter before the board, Mr. Chair, item number 5 is a violation. Ceruni Incorporated, trading as Fireside North. Premises are located at 2201 West North Avenue. Licensee holds a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with a violation of one of the board's rules stemming from an incident on April the 7th, 22, and that is a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. The owner licensee, Rachira Bahan Parikh, is feeling under the weather this morning. Her husband is here, and I also have with me Mr. Sean Johnson, the manager, who is the offending party.
Okay, is he going to admit or deny?
He admits.
Okay. Do you want to explain, or do you want to have him explain?
I'd be happy to explain, and he'll
Okay.
be happy to answer any follow-up questions.
But
if
first, we better
necessary.
swear him in.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your team had a good night last night.
Yeah.
Except they
Hot
lost
cold.
their best prospect pitcher down in the minor leagues.
I heard him this morning.
So go ahead, Mr. Previs.
Okay, so Mr. Johnson is the new manager of the Fireside. Get the firehouse and Fireside mixed up. He was working about 1 week when this occurred. This is his first endeavor with serving alcohol to the public. He was required to get his alcohol awareness certificate before he started working, which was on March 21st. I think what happened is he was more worried about customer service than he was about his responsibilities as a licensee to have to really crack the whip and not allow anybody to get over on him. He explains that the cadet he asked, "Do you have ID?" He said, "It's out in the car," and he somehow allowed the thing to go forward with the promise that he'd come back with his ID, which is not the way to do it, and he fully understands that. He fully admits that this is what occurred. He is now the manager. You see that there was a prior manager who there's a couple of minor cases that predate this one. He is now the new person in control, and he's fairly an eye-opener that this happened to him so early on, and he's stated to me that if his 90-year-old grandmother comes in now, she will be carded, no ifs, ands, or buts, anybody. So that's basically what happened.
Okay, appreciate the candor. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Anything further, Mr. Priebus?
No, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents and the proffer from counsel, which includes an admission on behalf of his client, I find the violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sale to minor on April 7, 2022. There have been 2 of these in the last 4 years, but they're not Mr. Johnson's on him. They're on his predecessor, but they're on the licensee. So I'd impose a $750 fine and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Based upon the charging document, the proffer, and the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A on April 7, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $750 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on April 7, 2022, and also a fine of $750.
Thank you very much.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Robinson. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron.
Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensing council have received correspondence from this agency with the results of today's proceedings and instructions on how to pay the fine imposed. Should we move to part 2 of the docket?
Yes,
Mr. Chair?
let's do that.
All right. And moving on to part 2, regular items, new transfers, expansions, and hardships. The first item, number 1, applicants Robin and Shan LLC, trading as Harbor Tandor. Proposed premises are located at 803 South Caroline Street. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcohol 12-1604C2I, where the board may issue an additional Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to a current Class B beer, wine, and liquor license holder if the new establishment has a 1, minimum capital investment of $700,000 for restaurant facilities, which may not include the cost of land or buildings, 2, 65% of food sales, and 3, a minimum seating capacity of 150 individuals, requesting outdoor table service, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Materials contained do not meet number 3, the minimum seating capacity. So therefore, under Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609E, the board may waive the minimum capital investment requirement and the minimum seating capacity requirements if the board holds a public hearing and reviews the business practice of the license applicant and determines that the license holder is in good standing and has a reputable business practice.
Okay, and it's my understanding that this applicant has held other licenses, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, licensee holds 2 additional Class B licenses, and there are no violations associated with either, nor has the board received any 311 requests related to either.
Okay. Counsel?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Associate Commissioners David F. Mr. Winter, and Bartlett LLC representing the applicant, along with my esteemed co-counsel, Stefan Fogelman, who is going to row the boat today. I'm just going to bail. I would just make prefatory remarks that this is an application for a new license based upon the minimum capital investment of the $750,000. Within the board's file, previously filed as part of the application, is the appraisal from Jonathan Melnick Auctioneers dated April 21, 2022, showing a total capital investment exclusive of the cost of land or building of $872,800. I just, by way of background, this applicant was approved more than a year ago for a transfer of an existing license, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic and particularly supply problems associated with that, they were not able to retrofit the building and couldn't do it within the board's statutory requirement to complete all work necessary to have the license issued within the 270-day period. Fortunately, because the new law change, we felt we were qualified to apply for a new license, and with Mr. Fogelman's consent, I'm going to have him go ahead and present the evidence with regard to that.
Okay.
I have another copy of the appraisal if the chair would like that. It is in the board's file.
It will be received.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Honor, Commissioner Stephen W. Fogelman.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're asking you under 12-1609E to waive the seating capacity requirement in this regard. As you know, and you've had a couple of these hearings, you have to review the business practices of the applicant and determined that his businesses are in good standing and that the applicant possesses reputable business practices. Mr. Upperty, who is standing right behind me, he has been in business in various capacities as a restaurateur with Namaste, formerly Alonso's. Everyone knows that. It's a wonderful place. It's well received. And additionally, with here in the city, 415, that's Alonso's, 415 West Cold Spring Lane.
West Cold Spring Lane.
Next door at 413
Correct.
West Cold Spring Lane. And that's Namaste. And then
The other one called
Alonso.
Alonso, very well-known bar in the city.
Yeah, sorry, I have to swear you in if you're going to testify, okay?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Truth.
Also, with the prior testimony that you gave, is that the truth?
True.
Okay. And you're Mr. Apreti?
Yes.
Upreti?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And so what were you saying, sir?
You own Alonso?
Yes,
You
okay.
own the license at Alonso's and at Namaste?
I think I opened a restaurant called Namaste Baltimore in Roland Park, 2016. After that, I purchased the next door Alonso, and I have been running this, and we never been in a violation. It's in a great neighborhood, and even you can see the Yelp review, Google review. We have been always #1, and we are very successful, fortunate. And here, the problem is that the current landlord is Woody Harrelson, the cinema actor. That's their license. They give it to us, and due to the pandemic, it got killed, and it is very heartbroken because every time I see the landlord, I can't do that. I can't even see the eye to
Okay,
eye. But whatever it is, finally, this place, we already opened up without the liquor license. We do have the great support from the Fells Point community.
All right, let me take over from here.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that regard, with the support from the Fells Point community, the applicant met with FIPRA on or about June 2nd, 2021. Actually exactly on June 2nd, 2021, 1 year ago to the day. Now, because the license, the original license was deemed expired, this was ancient times. It was a long time ago. And we went on a wild goose chase to find this letter of support for this project from FIPRA. So just this morning, I got, and beyond the documentary evidentiary deadline, just this morning, I got a letter from the Fells Point Residents Association, Kate Sems, president, indicating to whom it may concern on behalf of the board of the Fells Point Residents Association. I'm writing to you at the request of Vinod Uperti, owner of Harbor Tandoor. Mr. Uperti attended our FIPRA meeting on June 2nd, 2021. During the meeting, he presented his plans for Harbor Tandoor's new location at 803 South Carolina and answered all questions. Our membership offered no objection to his plans and overall seemed to be in favor of this addition to our neighborhood. And that's signed Kate Sems, president of FIPRA. And we'll certainly put that in the file post-hearing. I just wanted to, since the documentary evidentiary deadline had passed, I just wanted to at least pass that on. So the space, the idea of number of seats, coming down from the legislature.
How many seats does it have?
It has 86, not including the bar.
And I'm confused. Is this right above Bank Street on Caroline?
No, it's a Lancaster and South Carolina Street, next to the Dock Street, in front of that excellent building.
Because weren't there public housing along that part of?
Yeah, but that's on the other side of Eastern. This is
okay.
on the south side of Eastern. So
Okay.
it's quiet. It's weird. In fact, it's an ambiguous neighborhood. Is it Harbor East or is it Fells Point?
Okay.
Like on the east side of Caroline Street, it feels like Fells Point, but you're looking across the street at what is clearly Harbor East.
Okay.
Great place. I've been there. They have a setup that's airy and spacious for customers. Their food is bar none, absolutely fantastic. And they could jam 125 seats in there if they had to, but they don't want to. They want people to have a room to be comfortable. And given Mr. Uperti's reputation as an outstanding restaurateur, and he didn't mention the 2 crackpot seafood restaurants that he operates in Baltimore County, we think this is exactly the reason the legislators offered this kind of exemption, is that, you can't always fit everything perfectly, but if you've got a great track record, we want, the city wants to do business with you. So
And will those who handle the alcohol be certified?
100%. And Mr. Upperty is already certified, as well as a manager.
And did I read that you hired the lady from the Diz to run the Alonzo's?
Yes, Elaine, she's still running, Your Honor. Thank
It's one of my other favorite places.
Yes.
May it rest in peace.
Milo, you card all those Loyola University and Notre Dame College students who come
Yes.
to your place, don't you?
Yes, we do,
Am
definitely.
I right, Mr. Fogelman, this building used to be a hotel, it's been converted into condominiums?
Okay.
That's correct, that's correct. But it's an amenity for those residents as well.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions of these witnesses. Is Mr. Bauer here for, to testify to the business?
Guys, that's my job.
Okay, keep your eyes, okay. I just wasn't sure if there was any more testimony about the business practice.
Yes, thank you for leading that. So if you, of course, look on the State Department of Assessments and Taxation website, you'll see that Maya Inc. For 413 West Cold Spring Road is in good standing as of today. Additionally, you'll see that 415 West Cold Spring Lane is active and in good standing as of today. Robin and Maya LLC. These are children's names.
Yeah, my children's name, daughter and son.
So, and again, lack of violations, of any violations whatsoever. I feel confident that the applicant is in good standing, has reputable business practices, and I thank you.
Anything else?
No questions.
Okay. All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, as well as the proffers from counsel and testimony received this morning, I'd vote to waive the seating requirement under the statutory provision, small e, and approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, there's some ancillary privileges.
Yeah, I didn't see that on here.
Oh, it's stuck in the middle. I apologize. It's
I see it.
outdoor table service, off-premises catering, and delivery.
I also would approve for outdoor table service, catering, and is there something else?
Delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Delivery of alcoholic beverages. I don't see where you have this on here, but I'll.
Sorry, it's a jumbled mess. We'll work on that.
Okay. Commissioners?
So I too would approve the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license. I find this licensee to practice a reputable business, has a reputable business practice, and for that would approve that and waive the seating requirement and approve the outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
And delivery of alcoholic beverages.
And the delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, based on testimony and materials provided today, I also approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license, also waive the seating capacity, and the request for outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Might call exhibit for the record, Board Exhibit 1, appraisal.
Thank you, counsel. Good luck, Mr. Upreti.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I'd like to invite you. Have
We'll be
something
there.
else Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council has received instructions with the items that the licensee must do to obtain its license that has been preliminarily approved by the board today. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 2 on the regular items is Liquor Mart LLC, trading as trade name pending. Proposed premises are located at 5900 Reisterstown Road, Unit F. This is an application to transfer ownership and location of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 2101 Garrison Boulevard to 5900 Reisterstown Road, Unit F, requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Abraham Hurd on behalf of Liquor Mart, Your Honor.
I think we're still in mourning for another minute.
Yeah, sorry. Good morning.
Okay, and do you want to proffer for us?
I do think we have Mr. here on behalf of, I think, some competing establishments. Is that correct, Dave?
That's correct. Good morning still for a moment, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. David F. Mr. Winter Bartlett LLC. I'm representing some of the competing licensees in the community that are protesting this change of location.
Okay.
If I may proffer.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll see if we need testimony.
Sure, and I guess the first thing I'd like to say is, anybody who's here in support of 5900 Reisterstown Road, could you please stand?
Okay.
In lieu of their testimony, I would just have the board take notice that, and then one of the chairs.
And are the people behind you in support or in opposition?
They're opposition. You all move over.
These five are in opposition. I think
We can
everyone over here is in
segregate the
support.
groups.
Okay, all right.
And I think the board also received some signatures, of which I have numerous copies. I will provide them now.
We actually have them.
Do we have them?
Yes. You can save the copies.
So these, as Mr. seen them?
I haven't, that's okay. I'll take a look at Mr. Hurdle's copy. As
Okay.
necessary.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Hurdle.
And those witnesses, there's 250-plus people who have indicated support. Ms. Prajapati, you were one of the licensees in question at this address, is that correct?
I think you have to swear her if you're going to.
Do we want everybody that would like testify today, including those in opposition to the motion?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, what is your name, ma'am?
Seja Prajapati.
Okay. Hey, go ahead.
And just very briefly, Ms. Rafferty, Skylar, is the other licensee. She is a nurse, and she is on call, and she was unable to make it today. I would proffer that she is a fit and qualified applicant to the degree that her application indicates, and nothing has changed with regards to that.
Okay.
Ms. Prajapati, you're the proposed main licensee at this location, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you have several years' experience at operating a liquor store, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you worked at your husband's store?
Yeah, legal.
And the money for this store is coming from your savings, is that correct?
Yeah, true.
And you're gonna have alcohol awareness certified for yourself? And Ms. Rafferty as well?
Yeah.
And any employees at the store are gonna be
Yeah.
certified?
Yeah, of course.
And we met with the community at some point, probably about 4 weeks ago, is that right?
Yeah, we had.
We did a Zoom call.
Zoom call.
One of the people was actually, I think, in Israel calling in, which was very nice of them. And we had discussed having an MOU, which we sent them a blank version of, to discuss possibly reduced hours, increased security, cameras, any number of changes. And instead, they just decided they would oppose the license, is that correct?
Yeah.
And the location in question, it's on a major commercial corridor, is that correct?
Yeah, it's commercial.
It's in a strip mall,
complex.
right?
It's more.
And one of the reasons you chose this location is it's the only place that zoning has qualified the location, is that correct?
Yeah, true.
If I may, I have 3 copies as well for the board of the zoning code section determining retail goods with alcohol establishment, including the code chart on the back, indicating that it is only permissible in a C4 or C5 that a packaged goods retail establishment can be open. I also have 3 aerial pictures here of the plaza and the strip.
These documents will be received.
And one that's a street view photo of that same plaza.
And these as well.
If I may proffer at this time, very briefly, this location is, in my opinion, special for a variety of reasons. As indicated, the zoning requirement here, as per the chart, is that it must be a C4. I pulled a map of the entire district, because the license must stay within the district, and C4 is this kind of reddish, hot pink color. You see some over here, which is not in the district, some here, a little bit there, a little there, and then right here. This is the exclusive C4 zoning in that district. C5 is another place that's permissible. That's a downtown Baltimore business district. They're gonna be exclusively in the downtown 46th area. This is a large picture of that 41st district. Here's a zoomed in version. Again, surrounded by residential off the main strip. There's a C3 in some areas, but again, a C4 where this is located is one of the only areas in that entire district. Not one of the only, it is the only C4 zoning in that district. This is a map of the 41st. I do apologize that the scale's squished. But it's in the pink area that we have to stay with the license. And again, there isn't a single C4 with the exception of that roughly 5900 through 6200 Reisterstown Road Plaza area. We also have some additional pictures of the commercial corridor that you're on, facing either direction from the plaza. It's a major commercial thoroughfare, not a residential neighborhood the license is coming from. Ms. Prajapati, if given the opportunity to draft an MOU with the community going forward, despite the fact that they have rejected one through this time, you would entertain changes to the hours, security requirements,
Yeah, I
things of
will.
that nature,
Yeah, I
correct?
will, yeah.
And your goal is to run a nice store that is safe, that isn't open till midnight necessarily every day, correct?
No.
I have no further at this time for license.
Mr., you have questions for Ms. Prajapati?
I do, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Ms. Prajapati, you obviously, as one of the applicants today, I assume were involved in the process of contracting to purchase this Class A license, is that correct?
Yeah.
This was an existing license, right?
Existing.
You have to answer yes or no. You know?
Existing.
Okay. And it was in a different location, was it not?
Yeah, but it's,
Oh.
it's the same zone.
I can't understand you. Can you take your mask down so I can hear you?
So sorry.
I said it was at a different location, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, where was it, where's it coming from?
it's from same zone.
If I
Where
may,
would it-
2101 Garrison.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you. So how far away is 2101 Garrison from 5900 Reisterstown Road?
If you don't know, it's okay to say you don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's roughly 3.5 miles.
All right, so you were not an operator of a liquor store on Garrison Boulevard, were you?
No.
Okay, so you bought this non-operational license, is that correct? You were attempting to buy it, depending on the board's decision. You weren't running the business before, is that
Yeah.
correct? And the business was closed, is that also correct? You have to answer yes or no, you can't. you know.
Yeah, old license one. I didn't run that one.
Okay. And that business was closed, was it not, when you bought?
I would object. I'm not sure it's relevant to her knowledge to know what the other business.
Well, whether she, I don't know if she knows. Do you know?
Do you know if the other business was open or closed?
The old one? No, I don't know.
Okay, so at the time, though, that you bought it, you contracted to buy it. It was not serving any customers, was it? It had no active customers, did it? Because it was non-operational.
Opus, yeah.
Is that correct?
It's closed,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you're starting a whole new business, essentially,
business,
and
yeah.
you want to open it at this new location at 5900 Reisterstown Road. Is that correct?
Yeah.
When you evaluated the location for potential license, did you also analyze to see what other licensees were already serving that community?
Other license means
Yes, were there other businesses selling packaged goods, alcoholic beverages for off-sale, for carryout in the area? Did you make that determination?
yeah, some of the
Do you understand the
May I
question?
rephrase? Ms. Prajapati, there are other stores in the area, and you're familiar
yeah,
with that, correct?
there should be. Yeah.
Tell me why you thought this was going to be a good location, if there are other stores in the area already serving the public there.
Because there is vacancy and I want to do something and I want to run business over there also.
You mean there's a vacancy in that shopping center? Is that what
Shopping.
you're saying?
Yeah.
The vacancy, though, was not created by a previous
But
liquor store,
some
correct?
some communities, they also want us to open as well. They don't have like any.
I'm
opposite.
sorry, I don't understand you. Can you
Like
say that
other,
again?
like other communities, they want to open. They want us to open the store over there as well.
Okay.
Like it's in Plaza as well, like shopping center.
Let me ask you a couple other questions. Mr. Hurdle has introduced a series of petitions signed by people who allegedly support your application to move this liquor license, correct? Have you seen it?
Are you familiar with this, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, did you help, who gathered those signatures? Who obtained those signatures?
Like many other community from over there, and
Who
city.
actually physically went and got those signatures?
Me.
You did?
Me, my husband,
Okay.
some of you.
Can you?
My
you-
colleague-
I
my
noticed there's
employees.
no indication on there as to where these people live in proximity to where you want to put your store. Is there?
Like around Reisterstown Road.
My question, ma'am, is the people who signed your petition, what indication is there as to whether they even live in the community where you want to serve with this new liquor store? Does the petition indicate that? Have you determined that all these people live with a certain proximity distance from your proposed store?
Do you know if these people live nearby the store, or maybe sometimes
Yeah.
some of them far away,
Yeah, most of they live around that area.
to your knowledge?
You didn't actually get all these signatures yourself, though, did you? You had other people help
Not-
you, did you not?
Yeah, some people help my employees and my staff.
Okay. You say you're employees. Are you in business right now?
Yeah, I work in a my colleague. I work in other store as well. We
Another
have other
store?
Liquor
A liquor
yeah.
store?
Yeah.
Who owns that?
Samir Prajapati.
Who?
Samir Prajapati.
And what's his relationship to you?
Oh, he's my husband.
Your husband. So your husband owns a liquor store,
Hmm.
a Class A license.
He has license.
Okay. And where's that store located?
In a Plaza Mall, 6630 Reisterstown Road. It's on same road.
Okay. So it's in Baltimore City also?
Baltimore.
Okay. And what ownership interest do you have in your husband's store?
Sorry?
What ownership interest do you have in your husband's store?
No, I don't have ownership.
You don't own any stock in this company?
No, I just work.
What, if any, interest is he going to have in the new store?
Sorry?
What, if any, interest is your husband going to have in the store if the board approves your application?
Interest.
Yeah, what ownership interest is he going to have?
Yeah,
Perhaps
he
I
will.
can rephrase. Ms. Prajapati, you are the sole member of the entity that this liquor store is going to be there, right?
Hmm.
You're supplying the funding, and it's
Yeah.
going to be your store alone, correct?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. What are you paying for this license?
What is paying for license means?
What are you paying for the liquor license? You're buying it, are you not?
Hmm.
What are you paying for?
It's 80,000, sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Ms. Prajapati, have you been involved in this transaction at all up till now? Have you been involved in this transaction at all?
I would object. I think it's an unreasonable question to ask Ms. Prajapati about zoning and distinct issues in that capacity. The contract was signed, it was signed some time ago. As the board may be aware, this license application was expedited almost a month and a half ago, and it's been postponed on 2 different occasions. One for Mr. Mister, one for the community, which we had that meeting, and now we're here today. This is all affecting the lease and every other aspect of the business. The goal of expediting it was to get in there quickly as fast as we could to preserve any benefit from the lease that we may be conveyed.
Well, I guess we'll try to find out if there's any relevance to it at some point. But do you have anything further?
I do have some more questions. But I must say, Mr. Chairman, asking the person who claims to be the sole owner what she's paying for the license, I don't think is an unreasonable question. I think she should have some knowledge of this transaction she's engaging in.
Perhaps, but I'm not sure how it bears on our determination, but go ahead.
Other partners. Right?
All right. So what's the source of the funds for the purchase of the license? Where are you getting the money from?
Yeah, I earn. I work in a Cosaing, so it's my some savings as well,
Okay.
and some I borrow for my family.
Okay, including your husband.
No.
Your husband's providing some of the funds, right?
No.
He's not providing any of the funds for this.
No.
What about the
But I
cost of building out the store? This is a vacant property, it's not a liquor store now. So you have to put in cold boxes, refrigeration, all kinds of electrical and plumbing. You're gonna have to put shelving in, and you're gonna have to buy an inventory of alcoholic beverages, correct?
Yeah.
What's your budget for that?
It's about 300, 400.
300, 400,000? Okay. And where is the funds coming from for that?
Yeah, we do have.
Who's we have?
Like I have, and some of I will ask from my family, my husband, my
Including
brother,
your husband, correct?
my brother, everything.
And your husband?
Yeah.
He's gonna provide some of the money.
Like I will borrow from there.
All right, and is your husband going to be a guarantor or a co-signer on any loans that you take?
Guarantor for
Are you going to take loans to provide some of the capital for your capital improvements?
300, 400,
Or you're going to take 300, 400,000 in loans?
maybe, if I need.
Ms. Prajapati, do you have a business plan? Do you have a business plan? Who's actually making the decisions about this? Your husband?
We all.
We all? Who is we all?
My husband, me.
Okay. All right. The loans that you're going to have to take, is your husband going to have to guarantee them? Is he going to be a co-signer?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, yes, that's what I thought. All right, now,
from COSA.
when, we haven't heard anything about what you plan on doing here, so please tell me about what the products are and the services that you're going to offer to the public.
All like wines and whiskeys and brandies and everything like wines.
Those that would be in a
Mm.
typical liquor store.
Beer. Yeah.
Is there anything unique about the services that you're going to offer at this store?
Service means extra service.
Anything unique that you're going to offer compared to what's already being offered in that community by the existing licensees?
I will expand for money orders and pay bill and lottery we will have.
Okay,
some
so you're going to have
convenience store.
some cash services,
Convenience,
money
some
orders,
convenience.
people will be able to pay their bills.
Yeah, some convenience store.
Have you
Convenience.
surveyed the existing businesses there to see if that's already being offered in the community? Yes or no?
Yes, there is some.
There is those services already existing. How much inventory are you going to carry?
Sorry?
How much inventory are you going to carry? Alcoholic beverages?
It's like how much we need. All like minimum. We will start from the minimum. How much we need.
That's what I'm
Then
asking.
slowly we will increase.
Well, what's the minimum you're going to start with?
About 150 something.
150,000 in alcoholic beverages, okay.
All right, counsel, we're getting into the weeds. You'll have to proffer to us what the relevance of all this is.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Whether she can sustain her business is a business matter, that's not our issue.
Well, I think the board has certain prerogatives, and actually they have a statutory mandate to consider certain factors under alcoholic beverages article section 4-210. And that would be whether or not this is necessary to accommodate the public. It'll also be whether there's any uniqueness or commonality of the services to be offered. There will also be issues which I haven't gotten into, explored yet with regard to parking, traffic, and also general health, safety, and welfare issues. I'm trying to figure out from Ms. Prajapati if she's going to offer something unique as compared to other existing
Well, how many
licensed
establishments,
stores in the community.
how many establishments do you represent
How many establishments do I represent?
in that community?
In that community?
Who are here opposing?
3 that are opposing today,
And
3
did-
licensees.
And do they all offer things that are unique from one another? And do they all have business plans that they can outline to us? I mean, what's the difference
I
between
do
this
believe
lady
they-
and them?
I do believe they can outline their business plans. And of course, they're already active and probably have some uniqueness, but of course, they already hold licenses. So that's not a factor to be considered unless,
Because they weren't asked that.
well, they may have been, I don't know, Mr. Chairman, because I didn't represent them when they got their license. But the statute only applies in instances of new licenses or change of locations of licenses.
I
It
hear
wouldn't
you.
apply on a transfer of an existing license at an existing location. So, I mean, that's why I'm exploring this, because I think it's a factor. And I'm sorry that Ms. Prajapati hasn't thought about this. It's in the statute, and I know her very able counsel, I'm sure, has reviewed that with her. So that was the reason I was asking those questions.
Okay.
Tell us about what the parking arrangements are for this new location.
There is parking because in.
Do you have
Plaza-
dedicated parking for your store? Or it's just part of the regular parking for the shopping center?
Yeah, regular parking there is at the shopping center.
And what are you going to have in the way of security measures at your store?
Yeah, we will hire like any security guard or something, and we will put some cameras.
You do not have a written security plan, do you?
Sorry, security?
A written security plan?
Return security means?
Yeah, talking about what you're going to have as far as either camera, surveillance, security,
Yeah.
personnel.
Security plan. We met with
I agree there's no requirement, but she can answer, does she have it or not?
We will hire like security at the store or inside we put camera and like,
What will be your usual and customary hours of operation?
How are you gonna be open? What are the hours that you're gonna be open?
open from like, like weekdays from 8 to 8 and if like
Weekends?
weekend maybe 9 and up depends on community and how they prefer. Latest 9, yeah. 9:30.
Now, Ms. Prajapati, your counsel has asked you about, talked to you about a meeting that you conducted with the community. Was that the Glen Neighborhood Improvement Association that you met with? Is that the community?
I'm not sure was that.
You don't yourself don't remember who it was?
Yeah, I was with him, but I don't remember that one who
Did
was
you
there.
meet with more than one community association or
Yeah,
just the
more,
one?
No, there was more than one, right?
My recollection was it was just one community association. I don't even remember the name of it until they sent the letter.
Hmm.
that communicated with the
So,
Glen community.
and do you recall meeting with whatever community association was on April 28 of this year? Okay. And in fact, as a result of that meeting, rather than support your application, if they heard your presentation, they actually voted unanimously to disapprove and to oppose your application. Is that not correct?
They opposed our application.
Sorry.
Have you seen a copy of their letter dated today?
They didn't
said-
send us a copy. They sent one to the
Okay.
board, though.
They did send it to the board, right? Well, I will
They
show
sent it
you.
to the board.
I will show you a copy.
I have a copy.
Okay, all right, you do have a copy, okay. So you do understand, right? And you're not representing to this board that this association has indicated that in any way that they're going to support your application, correct?
I'm not sure if you heard during the proffer that we indicated that we met with them and they disapproved. We did indicate that already.
Well, I heard that they were going to not take a position, Mr. Hurdle. I may have
That's
been
not what I
wrong.
indicated. And if I did indicate to the board, my
Okay,
my
all
apologies.
right. So you agree that they unanimously oppose it?
Despite our offer to have an MOU and have restrictions, they indicated unanimously that they would not be in favor.
Okay.
They were unwilling to negotiate. I think their letter, if you look, indicates at the bottom that regardless of how good they operate, they're gonna oppose it no matter what. So it isn't a situation where they're being reasonable, they're just taking it outright, no matter what position they're gonna oppose. I think the letter says that.
Well, I think the letter speaks for itself, and it indicates too many liquor stores, and that they think that this would bring an undesirable business
Rather, we
practice.
feel that no matter how well-run or well-intentioned, it will be a detriment.
Well, that's the last line. You forgot what the rest of the letter says. They indicate too many liquor stores and the like. I mean, the letter
You
speaks for
represent-
itself.
How many liquor stores here today?
3.
Is that a BD7 or liquor stores? I just want to make sure that we're clear on the situation.
2 of them are A's, and 1 is a BD7. And you'll get to hear from them. Mr. Chairman, this was submitted, and I believe it's in the board's packet, but I have another copy if the
Okay.
board would like to see it.
It will be received.
Obviously, it speaks for itself. Hang on for 1 second.
But there is one liquor store, right? One liquor store and 2 in a chant.
That's all the questions I have of Ms. Prajapati.
Okay, did you have anything further for her?
Thank you.
Ms. Prajapati, your goal in this location is to offer a better store. That was what was discussed with the neighborhood, correct? A nicer establishment with more security, more reasonable hours than the typical location. And at that point, that's the goal going forward. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I have nothing further for this.
Okay, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not. Well,
Okay.
beyond the proffer witnesses, I have.
But they are just here to say they support it, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what do you have?
I have 3 witnesses, just 3 we're going to testify, right? And we're prepared to
And are
start.
they cumulative?
Well, they're each separate business owners in the community, so it'll be up to the board to decide. They're going to be cumulative in the sense that they are all in opposition to this application, but I think they have their different reasons, and obviously they're different, unique businesses.
All right, let's get to those different reasons, because it's pretty obvious to us that they have economic interests that are at opposition.
Absolutely.
So
There's
what
definitely-
else is there? Let's hear that.
All right, ready to go. So let's start with Mr. Bandori.
And you've been sworn, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
Come forward and state your name for the record, please.
Ashish Bandari,
Could he spell his name also into the record for me, please?
ASHISHBHANDARI.
Mr. Bandari, what is the name of your business?
Inrani Discount Liquors.
Okay. And are you located at 4159 Patterson Avenue?
Yes, we are.
21215. What type of business is Indiri Liquors?
So it's a Class A, and the premises we have is actually the same premises, similar premises to what they're planning to get into. We provide security. We have various kind of wines, like whatever. We could provide. We entered the business in 2019, just before the COVID hit. So we're providing everything that the community needs, is what I'm thinking. Basically, and there are more liquor stores. There's one more just across the street, in a shopping center again, and then again, once you turn right on the Rice-to-Town Road, there are multiple stores.
So you don't want any more competition, but what is there any other opposition you have to this besides that?
Well, I wanted to get into just a couple things, just to make sure we show. You're a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, is
That
that
is
right?
correct.
All three things. And how far is your store from this proposed location?
Less than half a mile.
And you just bought it in 2019, is that what you said?
That is correct.
And one of the factors you took into account when you purchased that business was what existing competition there was in the community?
Absolutely.
All right. What, if any, impact do you believe if the board would grant this license and this new store opens with regard to your business?
Definitely, we got a huge loan to pay. We just recently got into business. We have a 10-year loan. We paid a big amount for that. So if something else is coming in, it's going to definitely impact us a big way.
So let's, the board probably knows this, but it's not in evidence, so we
Okay.
can't just automatically assume this, okay? Are you a full-service liquor store?
Yes,
You carry all full array of beer, wine, and liquor?
that is correct.
All right. What you carry, I assume, is primarily driven by what your customers desire, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. As we've seen earlier today, isn't it true that obviously all retail licensees must order from the same alcoholic beverage wholesalers within the state of Maryland? Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Is there any alcoholic beverage that someone else can order that you can't order?
No.
Okay. Now, I know pricing might be different depending on the volume of purchases, whether you can get a volume discount, but if the person across the street or the new store can buy something, you can buy the same product from the wholesalers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. If a customer desires a product that you don't regularly carry on your shelf, can you special order it from the wholesaler?
Absolutely. Anything.
And you do that on a regular basis, do you not?
Yes, we do.
Tell us about the parking at your store. What kind of parking do you have?
It's a shopping complex, actually, so we have ample parking spaces in the premise.
And you're on, let's see, on Patterson Avenue, which intersects Ricerstown Road, does it not?
That's correct.
What's the traffic like there?
So I think it's around 21,000 cars per day on the Patterson Avenue.
You're not, do you have any concerns, if you do, and I'm not saying you necessarily do, although I think I've heard some of this from your compatriots, is there any issues here with you or the community concerned whether or not there might be some issues with regard to crime or something that might impact general public health, safety, and welfare?
Absolutely. Security-wise, I think it's going to be a little bit impact. We have 3 security guard on premises, so.
Okay, do you have a security plan for your store?
Yes, we have 3 security guards.
And did you implement or prepare that in advance of opening your business?
No.
Okay. But in preparation for.
But we plan for it, definitely.
Okay. Now, you know what you paid for your business, don't you?
Yes, I do.
What'd you pay for your business?
$500,000 plus the inventory was close to $1 million.
Okay. That's not something you ever forget, is it? Anything else you'd like to share with the board?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, Mr. Hurdle. Well, no, stay right here. Mr.
have no
Hurdle, can ask a question. Okay, thank you. Board may have questions, hold on.
Did you meet with the prospective licensee?
I'm sorry?
Did you meet with the applicant?
No, I have not.
You did not. Why not?
I don't know. I mean, where's the platform for me to meet? Or this is the only platform I saw? And then I asked.
So you don't think, and the others don't think there was an opportunity to sit down with the applicant and discuss traffic, and discuss security, and discuss these issues?
No, I think they're much aware. They have another store on the same road, so they're.
So are you not a member of the Glen Neighborhood Improvement Association?
That association, I think we are.
So you weren't at this meeting?
I wasn't at the meeting.
You didn't vote against her?
I did vote, so I had an email exchange with the committee president.
So you didn't hear the presentation, but you voted no?
That is correct.
Okay.
So I have personal reasons. My wife is pregnant, so I couldn't be able to.
I understand. I mean, that's fine that you weren't there, but it's, okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we next call Sanjir Jamar.
Yes, sir.
You've already been sworn, Mr. Jamar.
Can you spell your name for the record, please?
First and last name.
Sanjeev Gamar.
Spell.
Can you spell it for the reporter?
Sanjeev. Last name is Gamar. GhiMire.
And Mr. Jamar, what's the official name of your company?
Mount Everest Enterprise Inc.
And you trade as Pepper's Liquors?
Pepper's Liquors, yes, sir.
Mr. Jamar, you're a Class A2 liquor license?
No, I'm LBD7.
I'm sorry, I got you confused with the next. Okay. And
I would object as to relevance, given that my store's an A. I don't think this representative from a BD7 has ground to stand on, given that it's not a packaged goods store.
We can make the argument. Let me just hear him.
For the record, Mr. Chair, our computer system doesn't let us fix it, but it is under the law, it is a Class A2, and our license refers to it as a reissued BD7.
That's what I thought it was, Mr. Chairman, but I'm not to quibble with the operation. So you originally had what was an LBD7 license, which you were allowed under the law to convert to a packaged goods only store. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, speak in the microphone.
Sure.
All right. And do you sell beer, wine, and liquor?
Yes, we do.
And strictly for off-premises consumption, packaged goods, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And can you tell us about what the array of products that you carry?
Whatever our supplier provide, all kind of liquor, wine, and beer we
Speak to the
sell.
board.
And then whatever customer wants, we take the order and we place those products as well. So whatever my community or my customer asking, any new product or what we don't carry, we take order and provide those products as well.
So you are a full-service liquor store, is that
Yes, we
correct?
do. Yes, sir.
Do you believe you carry a pretty complete inventory?
Yes.
Can you give us the approximate value of your total inventory?
Yes, about 300,000.
So if somebody was going to have 150,000 inventory, that would be substantially less than yours, to say the least.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, that would be a very small inventory for a liquor store, would it not?
Of course, yes.
How far is your Pepper's Liquors, your Class A license, from this proposed location?
About 0.3 something. So
0.3 miles?
Speak
to the board.
Yeah, 0.3 miles, like less than half.
And
0.37, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have? I didn't ask this of the previous one, but do you know how long your store has been at that location?
This store is pretty old. Like it was bar before. It's 22 years ago. It was established, but I bought that 9 months ago. Only 9 months.
And that's when you had the class converted to the A2?
No, it was already changed
A2.
before. Yeah.
When you purchased that business, that liquor store business, did you survey the surrounding community to see what competition there would be?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did you take into account what that was when you purchased your store?
Yes, we did. We checked, and then I checked. At that time, whatever store was there, exactly same numbers and same businesses are in.
At that point in time, those stores were coexisting. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What, if any, economic impact do you believe the granting of this license and presumably then going into operation of this liquor store will have on your business?
Okay, first thing is the business nowadays is slower than previous time, like maybe because of the pandemic or all those reasons, slower. And then other thing, my personal thing is already I spent a lot of money to buy this, purchase this business, and I have a lot of liabilities as well. So if it comes, another business, if comes, then of course there is a customer are same. There is no any population increase in that community. So whatever customer there, we have to divide it. And then definitely this store hurt the business and then we cannot survive. So that's the main personal thing I'm sharing.
And Mr.
Gemeyer.
Yes. Yeah. Tell us about what you're parking. Are you in a shopping center or you're?
No, this is my freestanding building and it's a half-acre land and then pretty good.
What kind of parking arrangements do you have for your patrons?
It's about 25, 30 parking lots.
Oh.
Parking spots.
And you are, I believe, right on Reisterstown Road?
Yes, sir.
At 5440 Reisterstown?
Yes, sir.
And this new store would be proposed to be at 5900 Reisterstown?
Yes.
Did you hear anything from the applicant that indicate to you that there's going to be any uniqueness about the services that she was going to be able to offer to the public compared to what you or the other existing competitors would offer?
No, I didn't see anything or I didn't hear anything.
Did you attend this meeting, sir?
Pardon me?
Of the Glen Neighborhood Association?
Yes, I'm just in the border of that, but there's a road, Northern Parkway, from that to west side is that community. I'm in just the border of the east side.
So you're not a voting member?
I'm not on that member, but I'm in another community member.
Okay.
But
I guess this might be asked. You didn't attempt to meet with the applicant in advance of this hearing?
even no, I didn't know her, and then so I did not try. I haven't seen her. This is the first time I can see her.
And of course, you've talked with some of your other competitors that are here, but no one reached out to you, though, from
No.
Mr. Hurdle's office or the applicant or her husband to meet with you, did they?
No, sir.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the board in support of your opposition to this application?
Yeah, but personally, already I mentioned, this is my new business. I just, 9 months ago, I bought it. I put a lot of money on it. If the competition comes, it's hard to survive. So please consider that.
Did you have any questions for Mr. Hurdle?
Did your attorney make any efforts to contact my office?
No, sir.
Did you make any efforts to contact my office?
No, sir. I didn't know
Was
who's
there a
the.
sign on your door indicating that you are a liquor store looking to contact us?
No.
So we had no reason to know that you
I
tried to contact
I
us.
did not see any that kind of thing.
Is there
nowhere.
any scenario under which a discussion would have changed your mind on this?
Let me ask you, you had said you bought your license you purchased 9 months ago.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that right? And it sounded from your testimony that you spent some time surveying the surroundings for other liquor stores. Is that right?
Yeah, before purchase, yes.
So did you notice that this site was specifically zoned for a license? This application?
For the new application, this one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know anything about that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Before you call your next witness, may I take a point of privilege as a 75-year-old and call a 3-minute recess?
You do the same.
Yeah, it's
The
getting
board is in recess.
It's okay. Let's go back on the record.
The Board of Liquor License Commissioners of Baltimore City is resuming. We're back on the record.
Mr. Commissioner, you want to proceed?
Thank you. Lastly, we call Sunit Dahl.
Sorry, would you come forward and spell your name for the record, please?
SUMIT, last name DHALL. Good afternoon.
All right. And Ms. Dahl, you're here with your mother, who is sitting right here in the second row. She can come up. Although Ms. Dahl is not that fluent in English, that's why her son's here to assist her. What's the name of your mother's BD7 tavern?
Joe's Place.
Joe's Place, okay. What kind of services does your mother have at Joe's Place, in addition to selling alcohol on premises?
We have a bar.
There's a bar.
And a packaged goods.
You have carry-out privileges, packaged goods. Do you have a separate packaged goods section?
Yeah, but they're all together.
I understand.
Yes, separate.
But you have with,
Yes.
product out displayed
Yes.
on shelves for customers?
Yes.
Where customers can come in and help themselves to what
Exactly.
product they want.
And walking good.
And what kind of array of products does your mother carry at her tavern?
She carry wine, liquor, and spirits, and for the bar side, same thing.
Is there
so-
generally a full array of alcoholic beverages?
Yes, full array.
Can you approximate for the board approximately how much of an inventory of alcoholic beverages your mother carries at the tavern?
I would say around 150, 175, not exactly sure.
Okay. And do you know how the approximate breakdown between on-sale and off-sale sales?
Mr. Can you have your client step a little closer to the microphone?
Sorry, sir. Thank you. Speaking to the microphone.
Yes.
To the board. Do you know the approximate breakdown between on-sale and off-sale of alcohol?
I cannot be sure, but I would say maybe at least 70-30 or 80-20
But you have
approximately.
to, I don't know which is which.
I would say the bar side is at least 70 and 30%
So
at least.
30% carry out alcoholic beverages.
Yes, packaged goods.
And does your mother have regular customers that come just to buy packaged goods?
Yes.
Okay.
And I met some of them up here just this morning.
Do you believe that if the board were to grant this change of location of this license to 5900 Reisterstown Road, that it would have any negative impact on your mother's sales?
Yes, it will.
Okay, and is that the reason you and she are in opposition here today?
Yes, and also when she bought this license 6 years ago, we met the community association and community association. We put the plan for them, and now when we heard that there is another liquor store coming, so we went back to them and asked them, do we community need it, because it's going to hurt us financially, and and there is any need, and they said no. So it will impact us a lot.
And are you or your mother members of the Glen Neighborhood Association?
My mom, yes.
Was she present at
Actually, we were not allowed for the meeting because it was board meeting with the client, their client.
The general membership wasn't there, just the board?
Just the board was. And then we have another meeting with Glenn, with all the community members were present.
Okay.
That where we were present.
Now, are you familiar, Mr. Dahl, with the number of all licenses
Yes.
in this community that sell packaged goods for carry-out?
Yes, there is, if I would say within 2 to 3 miles, is at least 10 to 12.
Okay. And besides the three who are here in opposition, the applicant's husband has a store in the immediate vicinity, does he not?
I think he looked familiar. I think it's not close to this. Maybe it's on Reisterstown.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how far.
Okay, all right. Is it Reisterstown Roads Plaza?
I
You don't-
believe so.
okay.
I'm not sure. I don't
All right,
want to.
I don't want you to speculate. Tell us about the parking at your mother's tavern.
So we have 3 different parking and street parking because we are right on the corner. So we have in the front, on the back of the building, and on the.
How many total spaces?
I would say at least 40.
40. okay.
Plus the street parking.
And we've heard this before, obviously, from other opponents, but if your customers desire a particular product that's not being carried on the shelves in your store, are you able to order that?
Yes.
Special order that from the wholesalers?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And everybody has to deal with the same wholesalers within a
Yes.
region, is that correct?
It's I think it's a law you have to.
Including Ms.
Yes.
Prajapali, whatever, I probably mispronounced her name, the applicant here, is that correct?
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the board with regard to your opposition to this application today?
I just want to share one thing about the security, that we have 7-day armed security in our. That's what the community wanted, and we lay a plan. We have online access of the cameras, which we provide to the Northwest Police District also. And I would say, like, she's 70, everybody know COVID have hit everybody hard when we have to close down the bar. So it financially, we all are broke somehow. We use all our savings. So I think board should consider that. If community don't need anymore, I don't think we should approve this.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Hurdle?
No.
Commissioner?
Do you offer any cash services?
Cash services, like ATM, yes. We have.
What about similar, I thought there were some.
Do you offer check cashing?
Check cashing we don't, but there is a place just next to the Indrani liquor store, which is only like a 2 minutes drive.
I do have one further question. I do apologize. Are there any alcohol that you offer that is unique Ms. Prajapati or the other two?
Yes, we offer.
Competing locations
Yeah, we
sell?
offer kosher wines, which
They
is.
could sell that if they asked for it,
They
correct?
can, yes.
So nothing is, that you sell is unique compared to what other people?
And we do delivery online with Disney.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that all your witnesses, Mr. Mister?
That would be. Is there anyone else here that was here today in opposition to this that has not been recognized?
Okay, Mr. Hurdle, you have anything further? I'd like to hear from counsel, okay? Let me ask you a question, Mr. Hurdle.
Sure.
Has your client entered into a lease for this location?
There is a lease that has been signed for the location. The lease has obviously a contingency for approval, of course. That's the
Mhm.
standard in this practice. The lease went into effect 2 months ago. I think it was a long process. I think it was 3 months free rent as part of the process. One of the reasons we expedited this was
And zoning-wise, does she have any other options?
there are no other C4 zone locations in the 41st 2012 legislative district.
Okay, so we've got an existing license that was on Garrison Boulevard, and it can't be moved if we don't approve this.
Correct. I think it was in an R6 as Garrison.
Okay. All right, let me hear from you, and then I'll hear from Mr. Mister.
Reisterstown Road, the 5900 block is a major commercial corridor. I'm sure that all the commissioners, as well as people in the room, are familiar with the fact that it is a 2-lane by 2-lane road in each direction. There are car dealers, I believe the Social Security has an office next door. There's considerable traffic on this corridor. There is always opportunity for a new store to come in and do a better job. And I think that a rising tide lifts all boats. When this store comes in and does a good job, everyone else will be forced to do a better job in an effort to compete. Further, I think that while I am sympathetic in some capacity to the fact that these other owners have had these stores for either some time or recently, the flip side of that is if they own a Subway in a shopping center, I can not only just open a sandwich store, but probably a Subway immediately next door to them. And whoever does better will end up being the one that survives, or they'll both do better and both do well. The fact that this is a liquor license shouldn't change that. My client can sell the exact same products that they can sell. There's no uniqueness of services in that regard. My client has indicated that they will offer check cashing, they will offer lottery, and that there's been no indication that those are services that will be offered by the other licensees in the area, therefore making it in that capacity unique. Could they, in turn, offer those services at some point due to demand? Absolutely. Would my client be in opposition? No, because that's the way things can go. This is an area where, again, there's significant traffic. There's a petition signed by 250 people in support. We did meet with the community. We did offer to have any number of various restrictions, and per their letter, regardless of how well she operates, it just plain doesn't matter. They're not willing to negotiate. We had sent an MOU to them. We're still willing to sign an MOU and or negotiate more hours restrictions that my client has already indicated. But what the security plan would be ideal for the neighborhood. My client will have to put in significant security cameras based on the rules for A licenses that will be linked into the city camera system. And my client will do a good job. She's been working at her liquor store for over 5 years with her husband, and she will have someone who can help her a little bit in terms of some of the operational aspects. And it will be a good location, and it will be a good store. There's plenty of parking. It's all off-street. There's a grocery store next door. None of the other indicated stores indicated they were next to grocery stores in a plaza. People can get their groceries, they can get their liquor, they can get home very quickly. And do I think that it's going to serve just the neighborhood? I don't. This is Reisterstown Road. This is a major thoroughfare out of the city.
I think one of the witnesses testified 21,000 cars coming by.
I would be surprised at that. It seems conservative to me. Every time I drive, it feels like there's 21,000 cars going past me over the speed limit over there.
Okay, anything further?
No.
Mr. Mister?
No question.
That's fine. So,
Thank-
let me ask you a question. To what extent is this opposition COVID-driven?
Is it COVID-driven?
I mean, obviously, everybody suffered during the pandemic.
There's no question about that. And Mr. Chairman, if I guess the facts outside of the record, but we can probably all take recognition of, The interesting thing is that COVID, and I represent probably, I don't know, 500 plus licensees statewide, and I'm just guesstimating, I've never totally counted them. Many of them are liquor stores, but very, very many of them are restaurants. As a matter of fact, the majority of the licensed restaurants in Baltimore County I either currently represent or have represented, they suffered the most. Generally, I think we know liquor stores probably did a lot better because people still wanted to drink. If they couldn't drink on premises, they bought it and took it someplace else. So I can't really say that it's necessarily because of that. It probably didn't help at all that at least two of these gentlemen purchased their stores right on the cusp of COVID. You know, in 2019, and actually the one was much more recent, only 9 months ago. So there's no question, and I guess we don't know when it's ever going to be fully over with or what might happen or if there'll be more lockdowns. So I think everybody's a little nervous about that, and with inflation and the like. I would say to you it is almost 90% or more driven by the economic competition issue. But that's not an unfair issue. I mean, all boards take different perspectives, and I can tell you I go throughout the state, every county but about 4, maybe 3, and it depends on where you are, whether they think competition is a legitimate concern or not. But I will tell you that the Maryland General Assembly thinks it's something that should be considered. I hearken back to the pre-adoption of the predecessor of Section 4-210. I can't remember the original number before recodification. There was a case in Baltimore County for a new liquor store on West Timonium Road in Timonium, new shopping center. It was opposed by clients of mine, Baltimore County Licensed Beverage Association. The liquor board denied the application. They took an appeal. I don't frankly remember what happened at the circuit court level, but it got to the Court of Special Appeals. And the court held there, competition's not a factor. It's all what's convenience to the public only. We don't want to hear from any competitors. And they overturned the board's decision ultimately. In remediation of that, the Maryland General Assembly adopted the provisions of Section 4, what was the predecessor of Section 4-210, and said, look, boards, we're not telling you have to find each of these factors. We're not telling you how much weight to put on any one of these factors, but we're telling you have to consider all of them. And one of those factors is what licensees are existing in the community to be served, and what, if any, impact it may have on them. So certainly a negative competition, a negative economic impact is a factor for boards to consider. And one of the other factors is not just, I guess we could always say if you introduce one more person, it's always going to have potential negative impact. There's no question when you take a finite area of where licenses can only go in certain areas, and we recognize this, certain areas are zoned, and you can't put a liquor store in the middle of a residential community. That might be incredibly convenient for the people that live there if they would accept it, but you can't do it. So that means you're going to cluster, obviously, all these kinds of businesses. And that means also that every time a new license is granted or one moves into that community, it's going to cut the pie smaller. There's more people to serve the same existing static group, and therefore somebody's going to take a hit. If they're going to have any sales at the new location, they're going to be diminished somewhere else. I don't think it's very logical to think by introducing a new store you're necessarily going to grow the overall total sales. I think that would be contradictory to logic and probably to market scheme.
I think we need an economist to tell
Well,
us anyway.
you know what? I readily admit that. But I think we can say that certainly whatever the market is in a particular area, when you introduce a new provider of the exact same services, that it's going to be diluted in some fashion.
How close is the closest of your clients?
0.3 miles was the testimony.
And the others
and
are?
other 2.5, I understand. I also believe the husband is within maybe 0.5 miles.
He's
but
not complaining.
He is not complaining. I think that's obvious. If it was someone else applying, he may be here too. So looking at the 4-210 factors, I think that's the biggest one to look at. As Mr. Hurdle said, he didn't say this, but he implied it, and I've argued this many, many times before myself. It's virtually impossible to be unique as a liquor store. it's not like a tavern or a restaurant where you may have a unique ambiance or a menu or something like that. Everybody has to buy their alcohol from the same wholesalers. Every product is available to everybody. You can provide a different mix, perhaps, but I contend that the businesses cater to their patrons, and they're going to carry what their patrons buy in most cases, as opposed to like they're influencing some new buying trends. So I don't contend that uniqueness versus commonality is probably going to be much of a factor here, other than to say I think it's virtually impossible for the applicant to be unique. Everybody else is given the same stuff. So that's probably more of a factor in restaurant, tavern applications. I think this will have, and my clients believe it does, and would state vigorously it's going to have a negative impact on their business. Two of them having bought their businesses since 2019, taking into account the existing competition in the community, what was there and where it was located. Now this changes things. One thing I might point out too is we're not talking about some hardship created for this applicant here. This is not the existing business that was forced to move. That business is closed, it's gone. Now they're seeking to sell their license, but this is not a hardship at all on this applicant. They picked up location and they take the chances with that when they put themselves smack dab in the middle of all these other competitors. The one thing I'll point out, and I know the board thought maybe I was going too far into the weeds with the applicant. You know, I've done probably 100 or so protests, and like I said, I've probably done 500 or more applications overall. I was uniquely impressed by her lack of knowledge of what's going on here. I mean, it's hard for me to believe. She didn't even know what the purchase price was of the license she was buying, and she's the one. This other, Ms. Rafferty, is merely the resident licensee, which that may change one day too if the legislature ever decides to go statewide. What my suspicion is, the husband's driving this whole thing. He's the brains behind it. His money's going into it. You know, the state has a statutory provision, which is applicable statewide, not just in Baltimore City or Baltimore, but everywhere, that you can't have an interest in more than one Class A license. Now, I'll admit, it's not clear cut that it says investments are prohibited. It certainly says you can't have an entity to hold more than one Class A license or an applicant to hold more than one Class A license.
It's hard to argue that in any situation where a husband and wife own two different licenses that they aren't interested in the other's success.
And not even talking about marital property. They're certainly interested in their success, but I think you'll also find that it gets more intertwined than that as a practical matter, because if there's loans taken,
But
virtually
that's not-
every traditional lender is going
none
to
of that's
require
prohibited, though.
guarantees. I'm not saying, but I'm saying we have an interesting situation here where the applicant is incredibly uninformed. She doesn't know anything about the business other than working in a store. She doesn't know what she paid for the license. She doesn't know what her product mix is going to be. She doesn't really understand. She doesn't have a security plan. As you saw from the neighborhood letter, they're particularly concerned about the potential increase in crime and security issues around there. And they also think there's already exists enough vendors in the community to serve alcoholic beverages. She's without knowledge here. I think you prepare these things in anticipation of not just opening, but in anticipation of coming for a public hearing that would likely be contested. And I say that, I don't ask Mr. Hurdle to comment, but it's my feeling these days, whenever I have a new Class A license, no matter where it is in the state, it's probably going to be protested, because I would say far and away the majority of them are. Now, I can't give you any statistics on how many are successful, how many are not, but they're virtually all protested. So in anticipation of this not being an uncontested hearing, you would think this applicant would have been a little bit more prepared and a little bit more knowledgeable.
All right, I gotta cut you all off because we've got a couple more cases.
And that's it. That's all. I would just ask on behalf of my clients that the board deny this application.
My colleagues may have some questions, so, commissioners?
No questions.
No, I think my questions were answered.
If I may just briefly respond, the neighborhood did not oppose this license. A small community group did. They indicated that they were unwilling to negotiate in any number of different categories, that we were amenable to doing so. It was a small community group. 250 plus people have indicated their support. 25 to 30 people showed up today commissioners, nobody from the neighborhood was the licensee here today. The councilman's not here. It's only people in support who are here today. The neighborhood is in support of this license application. This location is the only place that this license can go. If my client was supposed to be more prepared, we certainly understand that there are some gaps. The license hasn't been purchased yet. Everything's contingent upon approval. There's a reason that some of these things exist in terms of the gaps that are here.
Frankly, whether her business succeeds or fails is not our issue.
Unfortunately, it is not the board's issue. I agree. I do think there's an opportunity to increase the pie in the area. I think that a well-run store that will try to offer unique services, that will try to offer other services that are not offered by competing establishments, and that will be managed in a proper fashion, that will have adequate security, if not too much, in an ideal fashion, and will have reduced hours. All of these things are things that the neighborhood was looking for, that we're happy to agree to, but they were unwilling to come to terms with.
Okay, thanks. Commissioners, have anything else? Okay. Thank you all for a well-argued and thoughtful presentation. So on the basis of the materials that are contained in the application and all of the documentary evidence that's been received in this case, on the basis of the proffers from counsel and all the testimony received in this case, let me go through the considerations that the statute requires. So the first one is the public need and desire for the license. And the evidence we have before us is that she and her employees have collected 250 signatures from the community. Council's question whether that's accurate, but that's the testimony that we have on that issue. And we don't really have anything further about what the public is desiring about this location, other than the next factor, which is the number and location of existing license holders. We have people within a 1 mile radius of it who have testified today. And most importantly, the next factor, the potential effect on those license holders of the license for which the application is made. So Mr. Mister argues that that is a pretty compelling factor, and the testimony here would make any of us sympathetic to these people who have invested a tremendous amount of money into their businesses and are concerned in the current economic environment about their viability. I don't take that lightly at all. Then there's the potential commonality or uniqueness of the services. It's been conceded that there's nothing particularly unique about liquor stores. The impact of the license for which the application is made on the health, safety, and welfare of the community, about crime. We've just got suppositions about that. We really have had no hard evidence whatsoever that there's going to be any adverse impact on the community from one additional store in this shopping mall. Any other factor the local licensing board considers necessary? I don't know that anything else has really been raised. It comes down, in my mind, to this question of whether the board should stop someone from entering into an endeavor like this in the face of the potential problems it poses for our competitors. And I just don't know that anyone, the courts or the legislature, has said that that's the overriding factor. It is one of the factors. So on the basis of all of it, I vote to approve the application.
So based upon the application, the testimony, and the proffer before us, I would concur with respect to the chairman's point that the economic competition is but one factor amongst many. If we go down the factors that the statute lays out, the public need and desire, I think, is demonstrated by not just the people here in support, also the 250 signatures. I do take into account Mr. Mister's point about how close they may be to this establishment. The fact also is that this was zoned by right by the city council, which I think is certainly compelling. The number of existing licenses, we only have on our map 2 in the area, so if we suggest there might be 3 at most in that radius, that doesn't seem like a lot of licensees for a location that could see up to 21,000 cars a day if we accept the testimony that was offered by Mr. Bendori. The effect on existing licenses, again, as the chairman said, I don't take that lightly, and I think there could very well be an impact on the licenses, on the other licensees. The potential commonality, uniqueness, we discussed that. I do think the fact that this applicant will be next to a grocery store is in fact unique, because it doesn't sound like from the other testimony that that was a factor in uniqueness in any of the other locations. And then the impact of the license on health, safety, welfare, including crime, traffic, parking. The applicant testified that there would be parking at the strip mall. I would also add to that the applicant demonstrated a willingness to do more on these issues that seemed to be rebuffed, not necessarily by the folks here, but by the community itself. I think that's an important factor and one in their favor. And then I don't see any other factor that would consider necessary. And so for those reasons, I would approve this application to transfer ownership and location located presently at 2101 Garrison Boulevard to 5900 Reisterstown Road, Unit F.
Listen to the testimony. It is a permitted use, and I think that the concern is an economic concern. And so based on that, and with the signatures from the community, based on the testimony material provided today, I also approve the application to transfer ownership and location of a BWL license presently located at 2101 Garrison Boulevard to 5900 Reisterstown Road, Unit F. And I think they're also requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, just to clarify for the record, all three of us, I think, are voting to approve the transfer of the ownership and the location of the Class A license from 2101 Garrison Boulevard to 5900 Reisterstown Road, Unit F, and also the delivery of alcoholic beverages. Ms. Russell?
May I call exhibits for the record? Board Exhibit 1, petition of support. 2, letter from Glenn Neighborhood Association in opposition. 3, 6 emails of opposition. 4, letter of opposition from area business owners. 5, zoning code C4. And 6, 3 aerial photos of site.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone who participated. You may.
Ms. Russell?
I don't think we need them.
You don't.
You may have another chance to use them.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant and council will receive or have received follow-up instructions from this agency on what steps are necessary to legally complete the transfer of ownership and location that the board preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Shall we move to the next matter?
Let's please.
Item number 3 on the regular items of today's docket. El Galazzo Bar and Grill, LLC, trading as El Galazzo. Premises are located at 110 South Haven Street. This is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
All right, thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Hurdle did say he would pay my parking ticket, so anyway.
But you're asking for a 90-day hardship extension?
Indeed. It's just another case where they're doing heavy renovations, supply chain issues, labor shortages. So we were asking for 90 days after May 17th, which will give them, I think, till August 15th, 2022.
Okay, commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Anyone else? Hearing none, thank you. On the basis of your written request of May 14, as well as your proffer this morning, or this afternoon, Mr. Fogelman, I would vote to approve this request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension. Commissioners?
Based upon your letter, Mr. Fogelman, of May 14th, and your proffer about inspections issues and supply chain, I too would grant the 90-day transfer hardship extension.
Based on testimony materials provided today, I also approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Call exhibits for the record.
Thank you all. See you next week.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's proceedings. Shall we move to the last matter?
Yes, please.
Then we seem to be out of people, but Item number 4 on the regular items docket is Pub Classics LLC, trading as Port McHenry's Tavern. Premises are located at 6500 Riverview Avenue, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. And I don't see any, I do recall, oh, are we checking outside? We did receive from council's irregular, not one of our usuals, is that right, Ms. Russell?
Let's see.
No one here on this, or are you?
A letter was sent.
Yes.
And no, Mr.
All right. So we have a written request that dated May 13, 2022, asking for a 90-day hardship extension to complete the transfer. It states that my client was met with unforeseen circumstances with an expired health department permit, which has necessitated this request. I'd be willing to consider the written request and approve the application for a 90-day transfer hardship extension. Commissioners?
I concur with the chairman based on the letter of May 13th and their request dealing with unforeseen circumstances. I too would grant the 90-day transfer hardship extension.
Based on testimony and materials provided today, I also approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you. Mr. Blendy, does that conclude our docket?
That concludes this matter before the board, which is all of the matters before the board. Yes, Mr. Chair.
So thanks to the commissioners and the staff and everyone else, and we will see you next week.
That concludes everything. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This concludes the June 2nd meeting of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board stands in recess until Thursday, June 9th at 10:30 a.m.